I think the only monetary asset that will stabilize the world system and provide for a stable monetary system is gold. And why is that? Well, because it's been used for thousands of years to do so. Bitcoin doesn't have the track record. It's not widely recognized, and it's not in the human psyche as gold is. I mean, even Trump in his inaugural speech said we're entering the golden age. It's always about the golden child or the golden whatever. It's not about Bitcoin. It's in our DNA. But let's get back to Judy Shelton and see what she says here. And I'm quoting now: "If heads can nod in agreement that central planning does not work, it opens new policy avenues for revamping the process that enables central banks to manage whole economies. Why allow a small committee to set the price of loanable funds? If we can likewise agree that stable money fosters productive growth, we can proceed to question existing monetary policies and practices that encourage financial engineering rather than productive growth."
In today's news recap, gold poised to overtake record peak as dollar drops on Trump remarks. Gold prices climbed over 1% on Friday, closing in on its all-time high hit in October as a weakening dollar on U.S. President Donald Trump's push for lower rates and tariff uncertainty drove the metal towards its fourth straight weekly rise. Spot gold prices, which have added 2.7% so far this week, are a mere $17.3 away from the record high of $2,790.15 hit on October 31. One factor certainly seems to be the drop in the U.S. dollar. Some of the biggest factors that are driving it are associated with President Trump talking tariffs, said Bart Mellick, head of commodity strategies at TD Securities. Trump is at risk of elevating prices, and I think the gold market perceives perhaps a higher inflation and possibly a central bank that's more accommodative. In this climate of uncertainty, zero-yield gold continued to shine as a reliable hedge against inflation and instability, while it remains particularly appealing in a low-interest rate environment. At the World Economic Forum on Thursday, Trump called for an immediate reduction in interest rates. The dollar hit an over one-month low, making bullion less expensive for foreign buyers. Trump has said tariffs on Mexico, Canada, China, and the European Union could be announced on February. 1. A short covering rally has boosted spot prices, but ETF flows remain choppy ahead of the Fed meeting, the bank noted. Traders expect the Fed to leave rates unchanged at next week's meeting. Spot silver was up 0.8% at $30.67 per ounce, and platinum rose 0.6% to $948. Palladium gained 0.1% to $190, $992.75, hitting its highest since November 25th. All were poised for weekly gains. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. And check goldsilverstacks.com to get your Stacker's Handbook, the ultimate guide to stack gold and silver, packed with strategies to trade the gold-silver ratio and get more ounces and build wealth over time so you don't have to rely on market commentators to make your investment decisions. Enjoy the episode.
The rivalry between the USA and China, there's a lot of talk about that China wants to take over as the major power, but I'm going to step back and look at things differently. And I guess that's why I'm the home of alternative economics and contrarian views. And I have to admit, it's very difficult to know really what's going on underneath the surface. But sometimes you have to try to look from 33,000 feet or look at the whole forest, so to speak. And I'm seeing more and more signs and pieces of the puzzle that make me believe that the USA and China are preparing the world for a new monetary and trade order. Yes. Why would the two biggest rivals in the world sit together and come to a deal? Well, because it's the only way the world can keep going peacefully and with prosperity. If you've got the two most powerful nations in the world economically, let's say militarily as well, and trade-wise, sitting together and agreeing to something that changes the way things are right now, that will be very powerful. That will force everyone to go along with it. And you might ask, what about BRICS? What about the G7? Aren't they rivals? Yes, they are rivals, but I think the point of BRICS is for China to help the let's say, Western countries with these negotiations that are going on behind the scenes. And you might say, well, but we're hearing this and this and that. How can you say that? Well, I think a lot of the stuff we get for public consumption is just that. It's trying to keep the public in the US, the public in the UK, in Europe, or in China, or in Russia, behind their governments. But behind the scenes, they're actually trying to fix things. And why do I say that? Well, the major reason, I think, is because of the fact that the world's monetary, financial, economic system is on its last legs. that is just insurmountable, and something has to replace it. And it's a big it's a big job to do. It's something that has to be done as as appropriately as possible, because it's really important. It will have to last at least a century, I would say, or even more, to keep the world peaceful and prosperous. Yes, and it might sound a little bit idealistic, but I think that's what the powers that be want. I don't think what I think Trump signifies is that the old guard wanted to keep the old system going, but the people decided that they wanted Trump. They wanted something new, and that actually aligns with what the Chinese and the rest of the world wants to do, in my opinion.
In today's news recap, gold glitters near record high levels after Trump's comments. Gold prices rose nearly 1% on Friday, lingering near record high levels scaled in October, steered by U.S. President Donald Trump's calls to lower interest rates and uncertainty surrounding his trade policies. Spot gold rose 1.1% to $2,784.82 per ounce and was up 2.8% for the week. Prices are at their highest since October 31, when they hit a record high of $2,790.15. Gold's move towards a fresh all-time high has coincided with a correction in the dollar, which is lower following remarks by Trump that suggest he may go soft on tariffs and settle for a trade deal with China, independent analyst Ross Norman said. We see gold is likely to hit $3,175 during 2025. On Thursday at the World Economic Forum, Trump said he would demand that interest rates drop immediately. In an interview with Fox News, Trump said he would rather not have to use tariffs over China. Zero-yield gold is known as a hedge amid political and economic turmoil and tends to do well in a low interest rate environment. Trump's remarks come before the Federal Reserve's meeting next week, where the policymakers are widely expected to leave rates unchanged. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps, and check goldsilverstacks.com to get your Stacker's Handbook. Book, the ultimate guide to stack gold and silver, packed with strategies to trade the gold-silver ratio and get more ounces and build wealth over time, so you don't have to rely on market commentators to make your investment decisions. Enjoy the episode.
A new monetary financial trade architecture for the world, because the fiat-based, debt-based derivatives, Babylonian system that we've had really since 1933, you could say it's since 1971, that is on its last legs. And I think Mr. Trump and his team, especially Scott Bessent, and also Judy Shelton, who's working probably with the Trump administration, and we're going to come to this book in a minute. They're all working to fix this, to get the world back on its feet. I think in terms of an honest system that's not based on financialization. So Bretton Woods, the last time there was a major monetary realignment in the world was at the Bretton Woods Conference in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, back in 1944. And we went on a dollar standard, if you want to call it that. The dollar was backed by gold, was as good as gold, but all the other currencies weren't backed by gold. They were backed by the dollar, so indirectly backed by gold. That, of course, ended in 1971, and we've actually had a rudderless monetary and trade system since then. So that's what Scott Bessent is talking about here. And the good news in terms of Scott Bessent is that he's been confirmed. It came out yesterday that he was confirmed by the Senate. You can see here that Make Gold Great Again, posted on X. A Goldberg confirmed as USA Treasury Secretary. So we're seeing, of course, a huge, how can I say, wave of tariffs and announcements by Trump. It seems all very disruptive, and it is. And what do I think all these tariffs and threats of tariffs are? Well, I think it's part of this negotiation that's going on, because for 50 years, and especially since the year 2000, and when China came into the WTO, and you can go back a little further into the agreement NAFTA in the 90s, when U.S. opened its market to Canada and Mexico. The U.S. has been offshoring all its manufacturing. We've had a system, monetary system, where there's constant devaluation by all currencies, left, right, and center. There's no, the market is heavily, the world markets, so to speak, is not a level playing field. And I think what Trump is trying to do is take America and the world back to where there's some semblance of a stable monetary architecture for the whole world, so that people can trade fairly. And I think America, of course, yes, it's had a lot of privileges being able to print the major reserve currency, but it's lost out as well in terms of offshoring all its production. It's ruined the middle class. It's created the Rust Belt. So it wants to go back. It's not going to be smooth, but it needs to negotiate with all the different countries. And that's on the trade side, and that's what we're seeing. And, if you noticed, Trump hasn't been as aggressive with China. He said, he was asked the other day about tariffs on China. He said, well, we're not there yet. We're going to wait. And I think it's because the USA and China are going to be the major creators of this new system. What about the EU? Well, the EU is, I'm sorry to say, kind of hopeless. I saw that Trump even said he won't negotiate with EU officials, but he will negotiate with individual European leaders. So he doesn't even recognize the European Union anymore. which I think is quite significant.
Do you agree with the insights from Andy Schechtman, Alistair McLeod, and Peter Schiff? Are they spot on? They've broken down the key drivers of the gold and silver markets this week. Do you align with their analysis, or do you have a different perspective? Let us know your thoughts and predictions for gold and silver in the comments below. And don't stop here. Watch this next episode right here because it's a perfect fit for you. I'll see you on the other side.